Hello and welcome to Watch Releases Recap for the week of September 20th until September the 27th. Let's begin with Certina and their new DS-7 Chronograph Collection. In 2023, Certina released this collection with time and date only. Now, for 2024, there is a new chronograph version available with 3 different dial choices. There's the black dial, blue, and green one. Out of the bunch, my favorite is the blue one. I think that looks pretty balanced, especially with that red seconds hand. The integrated bracelet look is very popular right now in 2024. It very much harkens back to 1970s watches. This chrono here looks really interesting. To me, it doesn't really look like it's an homage to anything. It kind of looks like its own thing. I especially like the stainless steel looking bezel with the tachymeter scale. As far as the cases go, they're made out of stainless steel. They feature a 42mm case diameter. The watches feature 100 meters of water resistance, and I'm not sure about the thickness because I couldn't find that information anywhere, but this watch has to be a bit on the thicker side, probably about 14.5mm or so, because they are powered by an automatic chronograph movement, Calibre ETA A05.231, which is based on the Valjoux 7750. It beats at 28,800 vibrations per hour. It has 68 hours of power reserve and 29 joules. As far as the release goes, it's not going to be a limited edition. It's part of the standard catalog, and these watches are priced at around $2,000, which I think is a pretty fair price for an automatic chronograph watch. The new Bulgari Octo Roma Striking 8 days. Bulgari Octo Finissimo, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated watches in the industry. It's super slim and it looks and wears great. Well, now there's a new addition to this sort of collection in a slightly different case. This one is called Octo Roma, and it has a bit of a different, more sort of streamlined, more rounded off case shape, which some people will really like. It is also black DLC coated for a bit of a more stealthy look. Now, as far as the movement goes, it is actually the same as the Octo Finissimo 8-day skeleton. It's a skeletonized movement, Calibre BVL199. It's an ultra thin movement. The Octo Finissimo is something like 6mm in case height. This new watch is about 9mm in case height. Just gives you an idea of how slender and slim these movements are. But they're also fairly robust. They feature an impressive 8 days of power reserve. They have 33 joules and they beat the 21,600 vibrations per hour. As far as the cases go, as I mentioned, they're only about 9.1mm in case height and they're about 44.2mm in case diameter. They feature a sapphire sandwich, so you can admire the movement from the back, and they have about 30 meters of water resistance. I think this Octo Roma is supposed to be a bit more sporty version of the Octo Finissimo. Even though it only features 30 meters of water resistance, it does have some lume on the dial and on the set of hands. Now, as you can imagine, a watch like this is not exactly cheap. It will be part of the standard catalog, but it's priced at about 33,000 Swiss francs, so that's what, close to 40,000 USD. The new Tag Heuer Monaco chronograph Racing Green Calibre 11 in titanium. Tag Heuer Monaco needs no introduction. It is possibly one of the most recognizable chronograph watches outside of probably the Speedmaster and the Daytona. You instantly know what this watch is the minute you see the silhouette. Last year there was a new release in a racing blue. Now this year for 2024 we got essentially the same watch with green accents, sort of that racing blue from 1960s and 1970s. Another cool element of this watch is the fact that the crown is actually at the 9 o'clock position as opposed to being at the 3 o'clock position. That is very vintage inspired. I believe the original Tag Heuer Monaco had the crown at 9. As far as the case and the dimension go, it's made out of titanium. It features a 39 by 39mm diameter. It's about 14.3mm in case height, since it's powered by the Calibre 11 automatic chronograph movement. It is essentially a slightly modified Sellita SW300 with a chronograph module added on top. It features 59 joules. It beats at 28,800 vibrations per hour and has about 40 hours of power reserve. These watches will not be cheap and they are limited edition. They're limited to 1,000 pieces and they're priced at 9,100 Swiss francs. So that's about what? Just over 10,000 USD. The new Zenith Chronomaster Original Triple Calendar in collaboration with Hodinkee. Earlier this year, Zenith released one of my favorite releases for the year. It was the El Primero Triple Calendar Moonphase. I think that watch is striking. It does have some faults, but overall, it's an incredible release. Well, now there is a new limited edition with Hodinkee. Hodinkee is an online publication. They also have printed publication. If you're watching this YouTube channel, you probably don't need an introduction to what Hodinkee is. This new limited edition is limited to 200 pieces, and these watches, in my opinion, are incredibly handsome. They come in a stainless steel case, 38mm in diameter, about 14mm in case height. They feature the Calibre El Primero 3610, which is an automatic triple date moonphase chronograph complication calendar, 50 meters of water resistance, and these watches are a bit on the expensive side. They're priced at $13,500 US. The new Seiko Presage Cocktail Time Nighttime Tokyo Limited Edition. Seiko Presage Cocktail Time is one of the best introductory dress watches on the market. I actually recommended quite a few people pick one of these watches up as their very first serious watch. There are quite a few different editions with different dial variations. Well, now we have a new edition. It's a limited edition, but it's quite a large run. So if you want one, I don't think you'll have a problem picking one up. They're releasing 9,000 of these watches, and I can see why, because these watches are beautiful. Apparently the dials are inspired by the view of nighttime Tokyo, the way the city looks and the way it sparkles in the lights. I honestly don't really see that when I look at this dial, but nevertheless, the dials are gorgeous. I also like the fact that they went with the gold accents on the indexes as well as the set of hands. There's also a gold colored border around a date window at the 3 o'clock position, and the Seiko logo is also executed with that gold color. All of that works for me personally. They also come in a 40mm case diameter. They're about 11.8mm in case height. They feature hardlex crystal, unfortunately. No sapphire crystal for this model. 50 meters of water resistance. They're powered by the Seiko Calibre 4R35 automatic movement. It beats at 3 Hz, in other words 21,600 vibrations per hour. It has about 24 joules and 41 hours of power reserve. As I mentioned, this is a limited edition to quite a large run, 9,000 pieces. So if you really want one of these watches, I don't think you'll have too much trouble picking one up. And they're priced at about 560 euro. I think a pretty reasonable price, although I do wish they came with a sapphire crystal instead of hardlex. That's my only negative with this watch. There's actually another Seiko release this week, 3 new additions to the Astron GPS Solar Watches collection. In 2022, Seiko released this Astron Solar collection, and this year there is 3 new additions to the catalog, although these additions are slightly different. The case shapes are less angular. I prefer actually the look of these watches over the previous version. They still come in a 42mm case diameter, 12mm case height, and about 47.9mm in case length. They still feature that integrated bracelet look, and they're made out of titanium. These new watches are powered by a slightly different movement. It's Calibre 3X62 solar GPS movement. Essentially, when you expose this watch to sunlight, it will receive a GPS signal and will sort of adjust the time accuracy. These watches are not cheap. They're about $2,500 US because of all the technology and the hardened titanium cases. Although I do wish that Seiko would improve their clasps. If you look at one of these watches in person, you know exactly what I mean. It's a bit too rattly at that $2,500 price point. Seiko might be able to get away with clasps like this in a $200 price point, but at $2,500, I think customers are asking for a little bit more. Out of the 3 different dial versions available, my favorite is probably the blue one. I think that looks really sharp. I also like how the indexes appear to be floating over the dial. Seiko, once again, really knows how to execute a good looking watch. The new Venezianico Arsenale Collection. Venezianico is a micro brand from Venice, Italy. I actually reviewed quite a few of their different models, and this new collection I think appeals to a lot of people. So it comes in a stainless steel case, 40mm case diameter, about 44mm from one lock to another, although it does feature an integrated bracelet, and from my experience, these type of bracelets tend to wear even larger on the wrist. So if you have a bit of a smaller wrist, this watch might be too large. I wish these watches were available in stores so you could really try one on. They come with 50 meters of water resistance, and admittedly, the design is sort of inspired by the Parmigiani Tonda PF. Although I think I like the design of this watch more than Parmigiani. I think it's a little bit more balanced. I also like that there's no writing on the dial, just the Venezianico logo by the 12 o'clock position, and that's pretty much it. The finish on the dial is also very interesting. It features this sort of vertical striping, and there is no ticking seconds hand. One of the best parts about this watch is the case thickness. It's about 9 millimeters in case height, and from my experience, when you have one of these integrated bracelet looking watches, you really want it to be on the thinner side. The thinner it is, the better. One of the reasons why this watch is so thin is because of the movement. It's powered by the automatic Miyota 9029 movement, which beats at 28,800 vibrations per hour, although there is no seconds hand, so the vibrations rate doesn't really matter. It has 26 joules and 42 hours of power reserve. Out of the 3 different dial variations, my favorite is probably the blue dial. I think that looks pretty kick-ass. And as far as the pricing goes, these are not limited edition. They're priced at €800. I think for a watch like this, it's not a bad price. And that's pretty much it for this week's releases. I appreciate you watching this video all the way until the end. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more videos like this in the future, and leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about this week's releases. Are you picking anything up? Are you letting all of these watches go? I always enjoy reading your comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.